Hey, this is Chuck with Metal Wani, and I'm talking to John Moyer from Art of Anarchy and Disturbed. John, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. So you guys have just been on tour the past week with Art of Anarchy in support of the new album, The Madness. How's the tour been going?
For about 2 weeks. Tonight's our last show of this run. I sold out show in Wisconsin, and then we'll be back out again towards the end of the summer.
Awesome, man. After the unfortunate death of Scott Weiland, you guys recruited Scott Stapp, former Creed vocalist, to be your new vocalist. How's the transition been for you and the rest of the band?
When Scott Weiland passed away, I pretty much didn't think that this band was going to continue, to be honest. But our guitar player, John Moyer, and our manager, had it in their idea, no, we can keep this going, we can find another singer. And they mentioned Scott Stapp. And I was like, at first I was like, okay, you know what, that could really work, It was a long shot. We reached out to him, and he responded, and we got together, and it seemed like a good idea, so we started moving forward. One of the biggest things, though, that Scott wanted to do was make sure that we had an identity as a band.
Yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time just working the songs out with all five of us in the room, and just figuring out what's the sound of Art of Anarchy. And that was, one of the biggest things. And the song The Madness, which is our current single, was the first song we wrote as a group. And quickly was followed by two more songs, No Surrender and Won't Let You Down. And after those three songs happened, we realized, what the identity of the band was, and it was easier to move forward and start creating the rest of the record. Great.
So The Madness is a tale of falling hard, searching for redemption and seeking forgiveness and ultimately acceptance. It's a refreshing and dignified, hard rock record that I've heard in quite a while. How satisfied are you personally with this record?
I love it, man. We all pitched in. There's, creativity and song ideas that came from everybody in the band. We all worked very hard on it. We kept it in-house. It was produced and mixed and engineered by Bumblefoot, who, is also the guitar player in the band.
Yep.
So there was very little outside influence in making this record. It was the five of us.
That's great.
Slugging it out and pushing and pulling, and we worked with a couple of outside songwriters, to kind of round out some of the tunes. We left no stone unturned when it came to making the songs as good as they could be. But ultimately, it was the five of us just hacking away and trying to create something unique and cool, and I feel great about the fact that we did that. Every time you make a record, you always think afterward, oh, we could have done this, or, well, if we'd had more time, we could have done that. I mean, that goes for anybody.
Right.
But given, the time frame we had and the logistics involved, I'm super proud of this record.
So there's a lot of dynamic shifts and arrangements on The Madness, on the album as a whole. I really dig your playing on No Surrender and Won't Let You Down. Sounds great.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's very different than when I do it in Disturbed. Disturbed, I have a much more percussive attack. I'm very much, backing up what the guitar player does. Or when I'm not, it's like me and Mikey, our drummer, doing something that's very unique and cool and almost proggy. But in this band, my bass playing is a lot more rock-oriented. I use my fingers almost the whole record, and it's a little bit more of a sleekier style of playing for me.
Yeah. Can you give me a little bit of insight into the songwriting process for you guys?
It's different on every song. Usually, a good groove is found first, whether it's a chorus groove or a verse groove. And then, maybe there's a little melodicizing that happens on top of it. And then we start to, figure out, okay, instrumentally what could happen with the guitars, bass, and drums. And then after we style that in a little bit, then we, try to come up with options on, okay, where can the song go? And, we just throw ideas back and forth, and then sometimes someone says something that is super inspiring, and they'll be like, okay, wait, I got it. Give me an hour,
Right.
And, we'll give each other time to kind of work out a part, and then we come back together, and it's like, oh, yeah, there you go. So it's really, it can come from anywhere. There's no definite formula for the way the songs came together. Everyone had a different different story behind it.
So the direction on the Madness seems like you guys have upped the ante in heaviness a little bit. Was that a conscious decision as you guys are working through the material, or just a happy accident?
I don't know. I think there's super heavy moments on the last record too. I think the last record has more of a metal feel sometimes, and this record definitely is a rock record. But the fact that you hear stuff being heavier, I think a lot of that has to do with Scott's voice. He has that heavy, powerful voice.
Yeah, that's true.
And Weiland is more wiry, and Weiland wrote some great melodies and great lyrics on this record, but and his delivery is so powerful. I think that's why you hear it as more like a heavy sounding record.
4 years for Disturbed to put out Immortalized, and now you guys are working on a new EP with some new material and reworked versions of of some songs from the old catalog. Why did you guys decide?
You've done your homework.
So why did you guys decide to do an acoustic record as opposed to writing another heavy one with originals?
I mean, well, I think one of the decisions is to do something new and fresh.
Uh-huh.
And with the success of Sounds of Silence, it seems like, now's a good time to kind of, we've always talked about it, but it now seems like the best time to go down that road and explore it.
And so do you think it'll be another 4 years for us to get the fans for another Disturbed album with original metal?
No, I'm not really sure what the time frame is, but I'm sure it'll be less than 4 years. Disturbed will be back out, with a new record probably by 2019. But who knows? But there's no plan to take a hiatus like we did previously.
Oh, good. That's great. So Disturbed mixes aggression and melody. When you look at the feature material do you see the band sticking with that heavy formula or getting heavier, or doing a little bit more of the softer things that you did on the last album?
Disturbed, even the last album has a lot of moments of, exactly what you said, that aggression and melody. I mean, the band's always going to have that vibe. I expect Disturbed to explore new avenues and always push themselves and evolve.
Right.
But at its core, you're going to have a band that plays heavy riffs.
Yeah.
And, with heavy emotion.
That sounds good, man. What do you think for you is the difference in the work that you've done between Disturbed, Geoff Tate, Adrenaline Mob, and Art of Anarchy?
Every one of those projects is so incredibly different. And in each project, I've grown as a musician, as a bass player, and as a person and an artist. I've learned so much. I'm so lucky to have worked and continue to work with great singers and great band members, great guitar players. It's a real gift for me. And fortunately, my schedule over the last few years has worked out where I've been able to do that kind of thing. The Geoff Tate stuff, very precise. They were sort of, almost proggy in a way, progressive, and the music has to be played a very certain way. And that's how Disturbed is too, so there's a similarity between those two. Adrenaline Mob and Art of Anarchy are more, more rooted in rock, and so sometimes the songs get played a little differently from night to night. It's just kind of like there's a structure for the song. I know the riffs, the notes I have to play, but I don't necessarily have to play in the same way every night. I can move up and down the neck, I can walk the lines, I can do slides, so my performance style in Adrenaline Mob and Art of Anarchy is much more impromptu. It's much more like in the moment.
Yeah.
And then, but meanwhile working with Disturbed and Geoff Tate, my performances are much more calculated and precise. So that's the big difference between, that I've found between those kind of these bands.
So from your perspective as a bass player, are you more interested in the rhythmic structures or the melodic riffs?
I think initially I'm definitely a strong rhythm player, but as I get older and as I continue to play, I'm, diving more into the melodic side of music and even more so into the lyrical side. So, I think what originally drew me to music was definitely the rhythms. I grew up on Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and I really enjoyed that kind of stuff. And of course, playing in the Sturs, one of the most, heavy rhythmic bands around, for, precise, exacting a riff. But then, as I get older, I've really started to lean towards melody and trying to see, what people connect with songs, how they connect, and a lot of how they connect is with lyrics. The music draws you in, but the lyrics are what keep you coming back.
Right, they're the items that kind of stick in your head. Are you guys planning to take Art of Anarchy overseas?
There's actually talks about an upcoming short run in Europe. Nothing too extensive yet, though. So
when you're not, working in one of the many projects that you're doing, what do you like to do with your free time?
Well, I produce bands too. So when I'm home in Texas, I'm either hanging out with my son or, working on other projects with up-and-coming independent artists.
Great. Any up-and-coming artists you want to plug?
I worked with a ton of bands last year. There's a great band out of Pittsburgh called Neverwake. Another band out of Philadelphia called One Echo One. And recently, one of my clients, a singer-songwriter named Mick Blankenship, just released his single on iTunes, and that song's called Transcend the Machine. So, I've had a good couple of years of working with a lot of great young and up-and-coming talent.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us at Metal Wani, man.
Thank you very much, and Art of Anarchy, it's a new band, but we're feeling good about it. We're getting great responses, great reviews on our record, and I really appreciate you, helping us spread the word. Yeah,
man. Thanks again for taking the time to talk with you. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, see ya.